In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to use the Trade Analyzer. There are three ways that you can access the Trade Analyzer after you've logged into your championship account. The Trade Analyzer button in the middle of the page here, through the Rosters tab up here, or through the Tools tab over here in selecting Trade Analyzer. When you do that, it will take you to your Trade Analyzer page. And here you will see that you have got your team and your choice of teams if you had more than one team in the system. But you got your team, and then what your team would look like after any trade. Let's say, for example, that someone's offered you Matt Ryan and Ray Rice for Peyton Manning and Alfred Morris. You would use the drop-down bars, change out Peyton Manning to Matt Ryan and Alfred Morris to Ray Rice, and you would scroll down. And let's say that this trade happened after week 3, so we'll go into effect week number 4. Now this will automatically default to whatever the next current week is, but for this example I'm going to go ahead and manually set it at week number 4, and then you would submit roster. So after 3 weeks you've gotten this offer. How is it going to affect your fantasy football team? And it pulls up the Trade Analyzer results page, recommendations for this trade offer. You'll see overall that you've lost some at quarterback, you've lost some at running back, you've also lost some at wide receiver, and I'm going to explain that in just a moment. And you've lost some in your total roster value, and it tells you below this trade will slightly weaken your starting lineup, trade will have a negligible impact on your total roster value, final answer, reduced value, do not make the trade. Now some of you may be wondering how it can affect the wide receiver unit when there were no wide receivers involved in the trade. This section right here is the impact on your projected starting rosters every week for the remaining weeks of the season. And in this example, this team has a flex option. So you'll see here that in week number 5, which just happens to be Alfred Morris's bye week, we're gaining 12 points by having Ray Rice on the roster instead of Alfred Morris, but we're losing 7.4 at the wide receiver position because there was a wide receiver that was expected to be in the starting lineup that week. Same thing here in week number 8. Week number 8 is Ray Rice's bye week. So we're losing 10.6 not having Ray Rice that week, and we're gaining 6.8 on a flexed wide receiver. That's why you'll sometimes see other impacted positions even though they were not involved. It's because of your flex options. Now, another way that you can go ahead and have a trade in the Trade Analyzer, let's go ahead and go back to it. And you'll see we've got the Trade Analyzer page up all over again. Let's say you've got an unbalanced trade. This is a trade where you're giving up 3 players to get 1. And in this example, we're going to say to get Doug Martin, we're offering up Alfred Morris, Kenny Britt, and Anquan Boldin. So you use the drop-down bar to go from Alfred Morris, find Doug Martin, and then Anquan Boldin. Use this to go all the way to the top and choose the blank. Same with Kenny Britt. So we're giving up 3 players, Alfred Morris, Kenny Britt, and Anquan Boldin, to get Doug Martin. Now normally that doesn't sound right, and I'm telling you what, it's probably going to show you that it's not going to be a very good trade for you. Submit the roster, and on the results page you'll see that you've gained some in your starting lineup, not very much, only 10 points for the entire year. You've lost 186. Its recommendation is the trade will have no effect on your starting lineup because 10 points is negligible. It's going to slightly decrease your total roster value, and it's going to recommend you don't make the trade. Now, something that has to be done that many people don't think of is you've got 2 open roster spots here to replace players with. So let's say that instead of just getting Doug Martin, we know that on the free agent wire, we're going to be able to take up those 2 roster spots that we freed up by picking up Alshon Jeffrey and Santana Moss, let's say. They're both available on the free agent wire, so after we make this trade, we're going to pick up these 2 players to fill out the rest of our roster. Rerun the Trade Analyzer. and see what the results are now. And now you'll see that you haven't lost as much as you did before on your starting rosters. You lost much less in total roster value, and now the system says that it slightly improves your starting lineup, has a negligible impact on your total roster value, and that the trade has value. Make the trade. Because whenever you make a 3-for-1 type deal, you have to remember you're going to pick up players to replace those that you're losing out on, that you've opened up those roster spots for. Be sure to include those in your trade analyzer calculations. And that's how you operate the trade analyzer.